I felt like the safest place I had on a show on CNN had been compromised. I ignored it, just hoping it would go away. Or even more, did I imagine this? But I didn't. A few hours later, he said hello. I didn't respond for 2 more days, despite his plea the next day to call because he wanted to discuss work. I tried to punt until after the Georgia runoffs, asking a week later if he still wanted to discuss his work idea, despite him mentioning tinsel bikini and tinsel bottom along the way. As I think about this, it feels so small compared to what other women in the workplace experience. But I was afraid to speak up. Between New Year's and my follow up, an insurrection happened on Capitol Hill where I feared I would lose loved ones. I felt like if I called him out, I was risking everything I was finally starting to build with the network. And as someone who is known for being courageous, I cannot begin to tell you how much I felt like, we even now feel like a coward.
All right. Let's get into the story. All right. Ex-CNN Pundit claims Chris Cuomo called her tinsel crotch in text. Calling it one of the most embarrassing, humiliating experiences of her life, former CNN commentator Angela Reed alleged this week that former CNN anchor Chris Cuomo sent her an inappropriate text about a bikini photo when they were colleagues. She also drew a connection between Cuomo's explicit message and her contract not being renewed by the cable network in January of 2021, noting that her release from CNN happened weeks after Cuomo called her tinsel crotch alongside a screenshot of her picture. During the premiere episode of her new podcast, Native Land Pod, which she co-hosts with former Florida gubernatorial candidate Andrew Gillum and ex-MSNBC host Tiffany Cross, Ray got emotional while sharing her experience for the first time publicly, noting that she had been dumped by CNN the day after President Joe Biden's inauguration. Ray said it was just 10 days prior that Cuomo, then a primetime host for the network, was texting her about a promising and regular role for her on his program. Truthfully, I had my doubts about the genuine nature of the idea, she said, adding that Cuomo came up with this regular segment idea after a text exchange that went woefully wrong. Wright added that she questioned herself at the time, wondering if she could ignore this indiscretion that had previously occurred. That indiscretion, she alleges, occurred on New Year's Day of 2021 when she posted an image of herself in a gold sequins swimsuit on Instagram. According to Rye, Cuomo soon took a screenshot of the photo and privately messaged her, "Happy New Year, tinsel crotch." Stunned, I read and reread the message a dozen times, trying to understand if I somehow brought this on myself. Since whatever you post on social media is fair game, right? Ray stated. I felt like the safest place I had on a show on CNN had been compromised, claiming she initially ignored it, just hoping it would go away. Ray said she didn't respond to Cuomo for 2 more days, even though he texted hello a few hours after sending the message. I tried to punt after the Georgia runoffs, asking a week later if he still wanted to discuss his work idea, despite him mentioning tinsel bikini and tinsel bottom along the way. As I think about this, it feels so small compared to what other women in the workplace experience. But I was afraid to speak up between New Year's and my follow-up. Choking back tears, Ray went on to tell her podcast colleagues that she felt that her eventual dismissal from CNN was linked to Cuomo's messages. A representative for CNN declined to comment. A spokesperson for News Nation, where Cuomo now hosts a weeknight show, said, "We have no comment on anything that may or may not have happened prior to Cuomo's employment with Nexstar." Cuomo did not respond to a request for comment after saying she was worried about speaking up and making it a bigger deal, especially since she was in the talks with other networks about a potential role. Ray said that Cuomo had reached out to her in 2023. Chris, you text me for a new number last year asking if I'm mad at you. I was, but I was really mad at myself. I was mad at myself for not saying anything sooner because I was lacking the courage and preferring my financial well-being over my mental health, she proclaimed. I was mad at myself for protecting your image with the Black women I know who loved you, who looked forward to hearing your voice. I know I am not the only one, Ray continued. And truthfully, I'm mad about that too, that everyone has given you a pass for fear of what it might mean to hold you accountable for clearly inappropriate behavior and overstepping. Furthermore, Rice asserted that she had a great rapport with Cuomo before the incident, saying she was worried about damaging friendship and a working relationship that you actually damage. Cuomo was terminated by CNN in December of 2021 for helping to dig up dirt on his brother Andrew's accuser amid the disgraced former New York governor's sexual misconduct scandal. Besides his efforts to help fight the allegations against his brother, Cuomo has been hit by accusations of sexual harassment as well as which CNN also led to his firing. Now, people are gonna probably get mad at me, but the thing is like you can't just hammer Cuomo for this, okay? Because the reality is this woman, you can't a lot of women feel this way that you could use Instagram, social media, you could post whatever you want with no consequences, especially if you work for brand companies like CNN. All right. CNN is a brand company. Fox is a brand company. Whatever company you work for that is a brand, Google will fire you if you're taking photos of yourself on their property in their office. Okay. You have to understand, a lot of people don't get it. When you transfer to certain jobs, you cannot post whatever you want on social media. If you are a police officer, for example, whatever you used to do in a day, that you better delete that before you decide to be a cop. All right? Life is not the same for you. Your work life is not the same. It doesn't it's not yours anymore. You work for a brand company, your life is not really yours. That's basically it. So her putting out a bikini like that, you knew the type of attention you could possibly get. Okay, you can't. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna just go after Como like everybody else is doing. I'm not, because you women who use Instagram and they put on bikini photos and you know what type of attention you could possibly get. And with somebody like Chris Cuomo, you put it out there for everybody to see, and you get mad when somebody gives you a comment that basically fits a woman who puts herself out there on the internet in her almost birthday suit. Sad to say, when I talked about this on social media, you had, sad to say, Black women that were defending putting on three-piece half-naked suits and then cry when you get negative attention. Grow up. You cannot do this and expect to be respected on the job. Okay? You can't do that. Was his comments inappropriate? Yes. But had she taken responsibility for what she puts on the internet, this would never have happened. And I know that's a little hard for women to understand in this day and age, women who are liberal, who are bought into the feminist poison that says I could do whatever I want with no impunity to my actions. Unfortunately, that's the way it is, and especially for Black women who have been brainwashed by liberal media and feminism. That's all I got to say.